never know when children are going to be born. Never. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Slinya for those who do not know, and in today's video I wanted to do a NICU nurse roles and responsibility video because I want to be a little bit more informative on my channel about what my actual job is as a NICU nurse, and I think that it's going to be pretty successful on my channel because that's what you guys care about, I think, like my NICU nursing content. So if you guys are interested in videos like that, make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, comment down below more videos you want to see to help me get some ideas and brainstorm it so I can produce that content for you guys. And let's get into the video about what I actually do as a NICU nurse when I go to the hospital. Let's go. So I have my handy dandy notebook here about all of the list of things that I do in case I forget. I always try to brainstorm some ideas. But anyway, as a NICU nurse, I do multiple different things. It depends on the day. It depends on the assignment that I have and things like that. So you can have one baby the day you're taking care of them, 2 babies in your care, or 3 babies in your care. We don't go past 3 unless you need to help out in the room that we're in. Our number of patients are based on acuity, so 1 would be a 1-to-1, usually babies who are intubated or on an oscillator, things like that. A 2-baby assignment would be maybe 2 babies on oxygen that needs a little bit more help, support, feeding, things like that. And then a 3-baby assignment would be what we call feeder growers, which are really just there until they get a little bit bigger. They may be on oxygen, not as big of a flow, things like that. So that's where we're gonna start our first. It's based on how many patients you actually have. And to go off of that, also when I go to work, I can either be on admissions and still have an assignment. You can also have discharge patients and still have an assignment, or you can just be a regular nurse, I guess you can say, and you really just have the sole job of taking care of your patients that day. So you walk in, you check your assignment book, and you're like, this is your assignment for the day. You find out your patients, and then you go from there. So I wanted to start off with talking about admissions. And when you're on admissions as a NICU nurse, at first I used to be really scared of it because it's always the unknown, and you never know when you're going to be called because you never know when babies are going to be born. But now I'm really starting to like it because it helps you think on your feet, it helps you use your skills, all of that good stuff. So an admission nurse, they go on deliveries. They go to all of the deliveries that people are worried about, or sometimes vaginal deliveries, you go over to labor and delivery. Sometimes you go to C-sections that are scheduled. You go to any birth that's less than 34 weeks because less than 34 weeks is premature. And then you also go to ones that they're worried about, or maybe the baby's having low fetal heart tones, things like that. Whatever they're worried about, they want to make sure the NICU team is there, and you go to those deliveries. Sometimes you put your hands on the baby and take the baby back to the unit. Sometimes the baby comes out as A-okay, great, and then you just leave the baby in the care of the labor and delivery nurses, and then they go over to postpartum. Sometimes you can also go over to the postpartum unit that the babies are newborns, 2-3 days old, and sometimes things happen like maybe low sugars, or they have hyperbilirubin, or hyperbilirubinemia. I think that's how you say it. It's such a long word, so I just say hyperbilly. That's what it is. And that's when they're really jaundice, or sometimes you just have to go over to postpartum and get some labs, because a lot of the times postpartum nurses can't get labs, so you go get an IV, get their lab draws for them, maybe take babies down for some tests, and you just do that because you are competent in that field and you're competent in newborns, especially critically ill newborns. So that's what you do as an admission nurse. Also, you can admit some patients that were from a transfer from a different hospital. A transfer nurse or a transport nurse will go get that baby and bring it there. But once the baby gets there, that's your responsibility. Or deliveries, those are the babies that you admit. Once the baby gets over to the unit, you kind of get it all settled. The baby has nothing on it, so you will put a pulse ox on it and some leads on it and do some vital signs and maybe get some lines like a PICC line or a UVC or a UAC or anything like that, and you just get that baby going. If they start feeds, you start feeds. If you need to start an IV, fluids, you do a lot of lab tests in the beginning. That's what you pretty much do as an admission nurse. You're sitting side by side with the doctor most of the time and going through the orders. Also on admissions, once everything's like kind of died down and it's not as hectic and crazy of a new baby being over there, but a lot of the times your other fellow coworkers will help you. But families are able to come over, you get all the family information out the way, get them orientated with the unit, make sure they know that their baby is in safe, good care, give them a rundown of what's going on along with the doctor, and that's pretty much how admission goes. So you admit the baby, get the baby all settled, depends on how long the admission is. Sometimes you only take care of that baby, and then sometimes you'll get your assignment later on throughout the day, just depending on what time does the baby come, because you never know when children are going to be born. Never. They love to be born at change of shift. Just love, 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 love. And then if you're a admission nurse, you gotta go to that admission. But that's pretty much it with admission nursing. So let's move on to the next topic. So on the flip side of admission nursing, it would you being a discharge nurse that day, or you having a discharge nurse. They don't say you're a discharge nurse, but you'll see a baby that's going home and you're like, boom, I gotta have this baby going home. So instead of bringing the baby into the unit, you're gonna help the baby leave the unit. So once the doctor's clear that it's okay and they talk to the nurses and everything like that, then babies get to go home. Usually in the morning you call the parents, let them know, this is the time that I'm thinking that I'll be ready for you to come to do some education, everything like that. So on discharges, you make sure you get all your discharges items done, like babies having car seat tests, babies having hearing tests, babies getting everything out the way, their appointments, their pediatric appointments, all that stuff has to be done before they leave the hospital. It's like a checklist. Then also when parents arrive, you have to make sure that you educate them on taking home a new baby, not even a new baby that was actually in the NICU. So you go over all of these safety protocols with them, you talk to them, ask them if they have any questions, answer any questions that they have, and then you're good to go with that. Other things that you also do is if babies are going home on oxygen or need to go home on monitoring, that's extra steps that you need to do, and you can do that. Every discharge is usually different. Sometimes they're nice and smooth sailing. Sometimes when you're trying to call to make an appointment for them, the people don't answer. So it just depends on how the day is gonna go for you. But I actually really like discharges. You walk them down, you say, see you later. You get to see them, get to go home, and they're no longer in the unit. Everyone's always crawling around them saying, oh my goodness, because we always take care of so many different patients. And you get to see them from being really little to being really big and being healthy enough to go home with their parents, which is always a really, really good feeling. Before they leave, you do a last set of vitals, you do a last assessment, you do your final stuff, write a little discharge note about what all happened, and you're done with that patient for the day. Maybe clean the bedside if you have time, and go back to all the babies that are still in the NICU. So that's it on discharge nursing. Sweet, simple, didn't go into that much detail because the baby is actually going home. All right, and then for the main stuff that you actually do, it's your daily responsibilities of being a NICU nurse. So you do these for all babies, no matter how critical they are, but you do care times, and those care times you do vitals, diaper changes, feedings, and give medications, do any extra things that the baby needs. You do a full assessment. If the baby has wound care, or if the baby has an x-ray or an echo or needs to go down for some work, you usually do it at these care times. You work them on in. Parents sometimes come at care times too, and you'll talk to the parents, educate them. It's really nice to get a lot of that education done before the baby's being discharged, just to make it easy flow instead of you just sitting there talking at them for like hours about how to take care of their baby. So if you can add that on in there, that's good. That's those discharge activities, those visits with family, just to help a lot of families get comfortable with being with their baby. That's what you do as a NICU nurse. A lot of the times people are super scared with being with their baby because they're like, it's so small, I don't want to change the diaper, but you're there as a nurse to help them if they really want to try, or if they want to wait until their baby gets a little bit bigger. But it's just helping the parents get comfortable with the unit, and again, letting them know that their baby's in a safe environment while they're not able to be there, which I feel like is really important. I actually really love when parents come. Like bath days, we do those on the unit too, and usually families come because of course they want to be there for the bath, and just being able to see them with their baby is so cute, and educating them, it's just wonderful. We talked about the education. Also, what you do as a nurse is doing new orders. So whatever the doctor puts in, you make sure you change your orders, whether that's IV fluids, whether that is formula feedings or feedings in general, whether that's wanting to have, I don't know, measurements of their head circumference or anything that the order puts in. Maybe they need an order for working with occupational therapy or speech therapy or physical therapy. Those are things that you implement and you make sure you add into your daily regimen of taking care of that baby. You also round with doctors on your daily responsibilities. They usually come around once a day. You give your feedback about what you know about the baby and you make sure you help give them the best care, which I really, really like at my job because they do a good job of the doctors actually hearing what you're saying, because you're the ones who have your hands on the baby most of the time. They just see them for a little bit, able to analyze, use their knowledge that they know from previous cases and keep it moving with that, but you're really on hands with them. That's what you do as a nurse. Other things you do is chart. Everyone knows that as a nurse, you chart. Even though we take care of little beings, I feel like we chart more because of how many different things that we do. We chart our assessments and we chart any different findings, or if anything happens in between the care times when parents come. It's a whole lot of charting education-wise. Sometimes you do care plans just to make sure that the patient you're able to track like its progress and everything like that, their progress and everything like that. I feel like you do that in adults too, but we also do that in children. Other things that you do as a nurse is go down or help with x-rays, help with ultrasounds, help with echoes. That's all at the bedside in the NICU. We don't usually bring them down anywhere unless they need like an MRI. But usually they all come up there and you're able to assist them. Depends on the type of baby you have. Sometimes they're tolerant of it, sometimes they are not tolerant of it at all. You do oxygen checks. If babies are on oxygen, then you make sure you monitor like that their oxygen is actually plugged in, on, working, viable. If they have any alarms or anything like that, you make sure you help the baby. And we talked about nursing plans, and another thing that you do is supporting the families. I'm a big family advocate, I guess you can say. So when families are there, you make sure you give them as much information as possible, make them not feel awkward being there while they're with their baby, and pretty much just helping them educate them to all extents, which I feel like is super important. I know I mentioned in the last video, but a NICU nurse is not like a nursery nurse. Like, it's a lot different, and our days are sometimes jam-packed, high speed, IVs can blow, and you gotta put in a new IV, fluids are running, and you got 2 other babies to care for, and the family's here, and it's bath day, and then new orders are being implemented, and it can sometimes be a madhouse, but it's a madhouse that I actually like. Like, I'm like, okay, let me get this task done, this task done, this task done. I feel like I'm a pretty organized person for the most part, and I'm pretty task orientated, so I write everything down on my sheet of paper with like my assignment list, and I'm like, okay, this is added, let me add this is added, let me add this. Some days can be very hectic, but for the most part, if you have a really decent grasp on like what you're doing and your skills, then I feel like each day gets a little bit easier and easier each time you go. I'm about 10 months, almost 11 months in, and I feel like I've learned a whole lot. I'm sure I'll have to do an updated video later about what else I do as a NICU nurse, but as of now, that's the information that I have. So let's get ready to end this video. So I really hope that this video was helpful for you all. If you guys have any questions for me, make sure you leave them down below. I really hope that you guys are enjoying the content that I'm putting out, trying to be more nursing forward. And because I really, really care about nursing, I just want to figure out a way to blend it in to make everything okay with me delivering my nursing content. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Let me know if you guys are interested in becoming a NICU nurse or what type of nurse you guys want to be. Let me know if you have any favorite specialties. I'd love to hear it. So thank you guys so much for watching my channel and my video. Make sure you like my video, subscribe to my channel for more content, comment down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, beautiful.